A chord progression is essentially the backbone to any piano piece, whether it's the most modern pop song you can think of or a classical piece written over 250 years ago. Today I'm going to show you how to play 4 awesome chord progressions on the piano, and you don't even need to be a piano or a music theory wizard to understand these because I've written them on the sheet music for you. So let's get right on to our first progression. Okay, progression 1 is the 1-4 flat 6 1 progression. So the 1-4 flat 6 1 progression is an interesting one. And by the way, I've provided the sheet music for you in the description if you're interested. So you got a C major chord, F major, A flat major. Oh, it should say 5 there. I'll correct that on the sheet as well, because we go back to a 5 there. It kind of leads us back into the 1. So if you don't understand anything about chords or chord progressions, just basically read the sheet music off of here and play around, and just maybe make up different rhythms. Just like that. Okay, now if you are into music theory and you do know about chord progressions already, and you want to play this in any different key, well, you probably already know how the Roman numerals work. The 1 chord is the 1st chord, the 4th is the 4th chord built on the 4th note of the scale. Flat 6, you go up to the 6th note of the scale, you flat it, and that gives you your chord, and then back to 5, and then 1. But like I said, if you don't know any of that, just practice it off of the sheet music. This is one I really like because it uses a lot of what we call diatonic chords within the key. But this flat 6 really adds some flavor. It has 2 notes that are not within the key, and then back to 5, and back to 1. So we use a borrowed chord, kind of go out of the key a little bit, and then we come back, which is one of the reasons I really like this one. Let's go on to progression number 2. Okay, progression number 2 is the 1-2 flat 3 1 progression, which I'm going to show you right now. Okay, so chord progression number 2, you start out with a 1 chord again, and we're in C major, so you just play a C major chord. Play it 4 times as I give you in this example. You're going to move these up to a 2 chord. So far it's pretty standard. You got 1, 2, then flat 3, and then a 1 again. This progression going from 1 to 2 to flat 3 to 1 really gives this pretty awesome rising feeling to me, because each chord is really just going up by either a whole tone or a semitone up for the next. And once again, we have a chord we're borrowing from another key to place in here to add a little more flavor. If you ever want to make your chord progressions more interesting, try adding in chords that are outside of the key. Okay, let's get on to chord progression number 3. How do you know which notes to flat? So very good, a good question. So to answer this is you will go up. So say we have flat 3, right? This is what this means. So you're going to go up to the 3rd note of the scale. So if we're in C, that's E. What you do is you flat it, and you're always going to build a major chord on that note. So if it's E flat, to make an E flat major chord, you have E flat, G, and B flat. And that's just how you make an E flat major chord. Next progression is 1, 1-9, it's a 9th chord, 2-9, another 9th chord, and then 6 for a deceptive cadence. Let me explain all that stuff I said. Okay, so the 1 chord, which we have right here, it's another C major chord. This time I've left out the E because as we do some of these more complicated chords like the 9th chords, we're going to leave out some of the notes so they're not overly cluttered. So here we go. You got C, E, G on the bottom, C, G up top. So 1, and then we're going to go to a 1-9 with a major 7th in there, and it just has a more of a dreamlike quality because we're talking more about extended chords now. So there's the 1-9. Here's the 2-9. and here is this 6. See how you almost felt like that next to last chord was going to go to a 1 chord again, but no, it went from 2-9 to a minor chord, a 6. They call that a deceptive cadence because you expect it to go one way at the end and it goes another way. So here's the whole progression beginning to end. Okay, the last progression we're going to talk about tonight is 1, 5, 9, 2, 9, 1. So let's go back to where we were here. Let me make sure we can all see. So here we go. It just starts out just like last time with, that 1 chord. Next, you're going to go to a 5, 9, which has a different kind of feel to it, being a 9th chord. And then to a 2, 9. So for me, out of all the chord progressions, this one is like the brightest. So maybe if you were like writing a ballad or something, this one would be good for, which we're going to talk about in a second, how to use these and how to build on this from here. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about how to tackle and practice these progressions first. So first you want to start out by playing each of these chord progressions 3 times a day for the next month. I think maybe even after a week or a few days you'll have them mastered. But, just do it for a whole month so you really know them by the back of your hand. And the reasoning behind that is you want to start branching off with chord progressions. You want to learn them first, but then you want to use them to improvise. So you want to play a chord progression with your left hand while you play a melody with your right hand. So that's what we're going to do with one of our chord progressions. So let's pick one. I think I'm going to pick number 3. That seemed to be my favorite and the favorite of some of those attending our live stream tonight. So I'm going to play the left hand part while I play the right hand a melody. So if I'm in the key of C, it makes the most sense to improvise a melody on the key of C. I'm playing some of the notes out of order to kind of make a cohesive melody. It takes a lot of time and practice to get this right, but I just want to show you where to go after you master these progressions. Oops. Supposed to end on a minor chord. So like I said, it takes some practice to get something that sounds good. Let me keep trying. So just by using some of the scale notes and some of the chord tones, meaning the notes of the chords I'm using, I was able to make up a little song on the spot with a little improvised session. So that's where you want to build off from learning your chord progressions. All right, let me kind of work my way backwards. Okay, so Bukun says, is there particular fingerings for 9th chords like with the 7th? Yeah, so this would definitely be a lesson all on its own. When you're starting to talk about 9th chords, actually, you're going to start splitting them up between each hand, because if I am, let me show you here, if I am playing the 7th chord, right, and I still need to play a 9th, well, it's pretty much impossible for my hand to do that and press all of those notes. So I'm going to have to start splitting the notes up between each hand. Oops. I kind of like to do the root in the 7th with my left hand, where I do the 9th, 5th, and I actually could even invert it a little bit further. I do the 9th and the root and the 5th in the other hand, and that helps space it out a little bit more, makes it sound a little bit better. Okay, if you wanted to learn more about the chord progressions behind what we talked about today, you really need to check out this playlist. I'm going to put it in the annotations, put it in the description so you can find it there, so you can really learn the background of what we were talking about. This has been Tim from Lessons on the Web. Have a great day. Talk to you soon. Thanks.